What up on a Thursday night? If you're watching live on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, what is up? As man, we got some sports to talk about here and some other stuff. What is up? At John Marks Media, follow, subscribe, like, comment, hit that like button. Like, comment. Did you watch my Out of the Parks with John Marks? I gave them permission, Delco Steve, to Delco Steve is he's here and he's looking very cool tonight. As he said, listen, I'm way too cool to be doing 2 shows a week, so I'm gonna have to wear my sunglasses.
Yeah, I can't be getting noticed in public anymore.
Steve actually he had a work injury. More on that in a second. But so the Phillies podcast that I do every Wednesday with Sam Stafford and Maniac Malloy on the Bet Parks YouTube and all their socials is done in the same program that Steve and I use to do this. And it gives you an opportunity to use this generic whatever music, right? Like we go with the rock intro, but we conceivably, and we do this one when we're doing, sometimes we'll do like a segment.
Feeding ducks. Right.
But it's not, this isn't an intro to get us going into we need rock.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm always headbanging in the background.
Right. Or this. Yeah, you can start with this.
If it went up right away, it would.
Yeah, it takes too long to get to. It's bad. We're not acoustic cinematic. And it says you can add music, but what happens is if you try to use music on here from YouTube or from other places, they bang you with a copyright infringement because YouTube doesn't want to get sued. So you can't. Not that we monetize it, but still. So we this is the one bed that we like, and so they were doing the same thing. I'm like, yo, we should get the start of the show instead of starting to dry, like pick one of those things. And I'm like, just use rock. That's what I use for the YouTube show at night. And they're like, well, you don't want to do that. I'm like, just use it. It's fine. It's better than feeding the ducks. Yeah.
Feeding the ducks is definitely a vibe, though.
It's a good vibe. This is when we do all right. Good opinion, bad opinion. What's this one here?
This one's not bad.
It takes too long to get into it.
It's all right, though.
It's not bad. It's not bad. A lot of them can be used for segment when we're doing a segment or something. But anyway, yeah. So if you're hearing that and you checked out Out of the Parks with John Marks, yes, I did allow them. I said, yes, use the same track. Use the same track. So it's good. Before we get to all the conversation, I mean, the people are dying to know what the hell happened to your eye, Steve.
I dropped a tiny piece of plastic into my eye that was just scraping the hell out of my cornea for 8 hours.
So when you say you dropped it, you didn't actually get a piece and drop it in.
I was working on, like, I was laying on my back working on something like above my head, and it chipped off, and a little piece just dropped right into my eye and went deep into my upper eyelid.
Damn, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh God, I've never felt so much relief as soon as I felt the guy pull it out. I'm like, oh, there it is. I'm like, it felt like 1,000 pounds was lifted off my back, dude.
Well, I'm glad you're doing better.
Yeah,
and
I was able to get back in time.
Sunglasses do make you look cool, so you look a lot cooler. All right. Well, listen, it was a game last night for sure. I stopped myself from tweeting when they had 39 points at half. I stopped myself from tweeting and I said, you know what? I'm going to remain positive. They can still win this game. I'm not going to go nuclear yet. They lose the game, I'll go nuclear. They came back. They won the game. It was a really exciting second half. Oh, and by the way, Jimmy Butler was playing with probably a torn MCL or some type of an MCL injury for a majority of the game. Sixers got the win. I'm happy with it. You had the Nick Batum game, which was I don't know what other great playoff game he's had, signature playoff game he's had, but damn it, he even had that block with 20-some seconds left in the game. What a great
I was pissed that I didn't get to watch the game last night, and I was just following on my phone, and I saw Nick Batum with 20 points, and I'm like, what is going on?
It was a hell of a performance. Without him, they don't win. They needed him. Because Embiid was weird last night, man.
He always plays weird against the Heat.
He was moping around a little bit. I don't know. Like, I didn't like the body language. And then he played well in the second half. He did. He had a couple of threes. He played well down the stretch. So here's my question now. Everybody agrees that we're happy they beat the Heat. Now you got the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. The Knicks are the 2 seed. 4 games during the regular season. The Knicks won 3 of them. I throw that out the window. Sixers are favored to win the series. And actually, where I bet Parks, last time I looked earlier this afternoon, it was an even 110 both ways. It was minus 110 for the Sixers, minus 110 for the Knicks, essentially even. However, if you were looking at, and let me actually pull this up right now. But if you
spread,
yeah, well, so the Knicks are favored by 3 points in the first game, but the favorite or the shortest odds for the series is the Sixers win at 4-2.
Yes, that's what I meant. So the Sixers are minus 1.5 on the games in the series.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Saying it like that. So it's plus 350. So if you wager $100, this is what you would win. If the Sixers win 4 games to 2, it's plus 350. Knicks win 4-3 because they have home court advantage. So you would figure that if it goes to a game 7, that's next at plus 450. Knicks winning 4 games to 1 is plus 500. It's really interesting. If you look at the bets, and I put this on my Instagram and my Twitter. So it's Sixers win 4-2 plus 350. Knicks win 4-3 plus 450. Knicks win 4-1 plus 500. Knicks win 4-2 plus 550. So of the four scenarios, the Knicks winning 3 of those are 2, 3, and 4, and then the Sixers still have the shortest odds. You know what? Like, honestly, if I was placing a bet, and I'm not going to do this after tonight because because we're going to be again until next week. So the first game Saturday 6 p.m. Like, honestly. What reason do we have to believe the Sixers are going to win this series? Honestly, and I'm not being negative on the Sixers. Normally what I do is I'm negative on the Sixers, and then the playoffs start, or it gets towards the playoffs, and I say, you know what? It feels different this year because I want my team to win, right? I'm a 76er fan. I want them to win. They were fortunate to beat the Heat. It very well could have went either way. And the Knicks are not the Heat. The Heat were not very good this year. The Heat and the Sixers, I know with Embiid, they're a much different team. So outside of with Embiid, the Sixers are a much different team. The Knicks have been good all year. So it's hard for me to buy in to the Sixers beating the Knicks. And I'm going to start buying in probably tomorrow. And I'm not going to mention this again, that I have serious doubts that they're winning this series. But they sure as hell shouldn't be favored in this series. That's crazy. So when you look at the possible scenarios of winning, like, would you be surprised that the Knicks won 4 games to 1?
Yeah, I would be surprised by 4-1.
4-2?
Nah, if it goes 6 or 7 and we lose, that wouldn't surprise me. But if they lose 4-1, that would definitely catch me off guard.
Plus 500. Knicks to win 4-2 plus 550. Sixers to win in 7 is plus 550. Sixers to win.
They're going to win one. They're going to win one in MSG in the first 2.
I would agree.
Because I think that's actually like a huge disadvantage for the Knicks, like MSG. Like the stars get up to play at MSG, and if you put them in a playoff situation where they get to like state their case for their greatness, they're gonna take every chance to do it. If they can win a big game there,
Embiid needs to play. Embiid needs to be the best player on the floor. Maxey needs to do what Maxey did. You can't count on Batum for winning a game for you. He just won the game for you. Like the one game that a non-starter won, that's the game right there. So I don't know if you can count on anything else happening like that. Tobias Harris was dreadful, horrible, terrible. And Nick Nurse took him out, didn't really put him back in a little bit, but he wasn't finishing the game. And that's part of the problem, is that you really do need that third player. Kyle Lowry's not doing, if you look at the box score, he's not doing a ton, but Nick Nurse talked about it after the game, and he came in late and had a couple of really good plays. He had a steal, he had a putback, I think, or he got an offensive rebound, but he noticeably made a couple plays down the stretch. And You need guys to step up like that. I think it's going to be a tough series, but the Sixers still need to now prove that they can win in tough situations. Because here's the deal with the Knicks: the Knicks are talented, but the Knicks also play a certain style and brand of ball. And with Tom Thibodeau as their coach, I mean, they'll get after it. They play defense. Now it's the playoffs, and it's different. And we're going to see how they look in the playoffs. We know that the Sixers tend to play their worst basketball when the light is shining the brightest. So they're not going to have home court. There's not the same expectations there were before. Not that people won't be pissed if they lose, but I don't know, man. It feels like way too many people are like, oh, the Sixers, they're favored. People are saying in a series they'll beat them. We'll see. For today, I'm going to be more of a realist. Tomorrow, I'll kick it into being more of a fan. But I have serious doubts they win this series. You?
I'll be really curious to see how the Knicks do the rotations. They've been playing guys 40 minutes a night the last 2 months of the year.
Yeah, they had some injuries down the stretch.
And it's like, how is that going to catch up to you in the playoffs? Playing 40 minutes of playoff basketball. Is that going to be more taxing than anything they felt in the last 2 months? And is the 2 months wear and tear going to catch up to them too? I'm going to be disappointed if they lose. I think they should win the series. It's crazy this year with the NBA with the lower seeds going against the higher seeds.
Yeah.
A lot of them are favored. But Embiid's the best player on the court. And Maxey, Brunson are 2 or 3. You could probably interchange them. So you have 2 of the 3 best players on the floor at all times. They got to pull it out. These are the games you got. These are the teams you got to beat. Yep. And especially with the road you have to the Celtics in the finals or the Eastern Finals, you got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I felt great. I actually felt much better about the Heat Sixers than I should have, because they were, they had the second half comeback, which is great. But I thought that they'd come out at home with the home court advantage and really feed off the energy of the crowd and take it to them. The Heat really do have some kryptonite for Joel Embiid, like you were saying before. But it's true, Sean. And I felt like Sean O'Neal says it with Nick Nurse, and the bench definitely has some depth. But the buttons that Nick Nurse was pushing last night, Doc Rivers didn't push those same buttons in playoff series, right? Like
we have a significant upgrade of coach from last year's playoff, the last few playoff runs to this year. And I definitely think we'll see that on display this week.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's one game. It's a playing game. Let's see what it looks like against a better quality opponent. But it felt like that when Doc needed to push the right button, he pushed the wrong button and had a bad feel for situations like that. And Nick Nurse,
look how Nurse put Doc in a blender the series we lost to them on the quadruple doink, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a great point. So, I mean, I'm conflicted. I really am, because it does feel different this year, but it felt different last year for me too. And it felt different the year before that. So every year I say it feels different, and then it's the same old 76ers. And the fact that they came out last night and they were flat in the first half, and Embiid kind of looked, I don't know, man. He was off last night. And you know what his over-under points was last night? Embiid? Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look at it.
35.5.
God, I would have taken the under. I thought it was good. I thought it was going to be like 30-31, so I never even looked at it.
Yep, Sean, you're right. He would have left Tobias in. He would have. He would have left him in longer and would have brought him back sooner. Even if there was a catch and shoot with Tobias where there was an offensive rebound. It got kicked back out. He caught it in rhythm. 3, air ball. And it's one of those spots where he hits that 3, boom, like the roof. Place goes crazy. There's got to be a timeout. Instead, I think they went down and they scored. The Heat scored that next basket. But anyway, I'm so ready for the Tobias Harris era to be over in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So, well,
did you take the Heat plus 4.5 like I told you? Because I didn't.
No,
I wish I did.
No, in fact, I was touting the 76ers minus 4.5.
Yep, didn't listen to my own advice.
Well, by the way, they were right there to cover. If you're watching the end of the game,
I was looking at the box score or as the box score ticks in at the end of the game.
Yeah, the Heat made a late 3, because if they miss that and they foul, then there's a chance that because it was 4.5, I think, at tip.
Yeah, that's
Bet
what I
Parks.
saw.
It was 5.5 earlier when I saw it. I think it got bet down to 4.5. So it had a chance to get covered. It didn't. Sixers won. All right, official prediction on the series. Because we're not going to talk again on Monday.
I like the favorite with 4-2.
So you like the Knicks 4-2?
No. Sorry, the favorite for the series.
The Sixers.
Sixers 4-2.
So you would go 4-2. Oh,
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
right.
I would be skeptical if it goes to 7 at that point. So the way it plays out in my head is you win the one in the split, you win at home, they win back game 5, you win here game 6.
Is it different? So it's different this year?
I think Nick Nurse is this. Even if you wanted to say this roster is worse than it was last year or the year before, whatever you want to phrase it, I think the coaching is a significant upgrade. I think Nick Nurse could win with a worse team. And I don't think the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks are that like upper echelon.
Well, they're not. The Knicks aren't the Celtics. They're not experienced. Yeah. They haven't been there.
2 through 7 in the East is pretty.
Right.
You could flip flop them.
Yeah.
And you got to remember the Sixers were 31-8 with Embiid this year.
Yes.
You play that out over a full season. What are they?
Well, and also I was listening to Boston radio this morning, and one of the hosts was saying that the playing game, you have 2 sub 500 teams that are playing. The East was actually good. It's not the year where Charlotte makes the playoffs as the 8 seed and they're 10 games under 500. No, the Sixers were actually 10. Weren't they 10 games over 500? It's just you don't have the.
Yeah, it was clever. I think it was like they were 48, 49, something like that. So.
Yeah, now I got to look it up, but it's not the bottom feeders that we once saw. And the Sixers.
Oh yeah, there was the East for years had a team that was under 500, finishing in the top 8 and making the playoffs.
The bottom of the East for a long time was horrendous. Let's see. The Sixers were 47-35.
Right, so 5 games over.
Yeah. No, 12 games over 500. 47-35.
Oh, how many games are in the NBA anymore? It's not 82 anymore?
82.
Is it 82? So yeah, wouldn't that be 41-41?
Well,
6 games
okay.
over.
Well, 6 games over, but if you look at it, they're actually 12 games over 500 because they're 12 games over 35. But to your point, yes, it would be 41-41, so there's 6 better than that. And the Heat had 46 wins, so it's not, it's very strange because the Rockets missed the playoffs and they were 500. The Hawks were the bad team. The Hawks and the Bulls sucked. The 9 and the 10 sucked.
Yeah, but it's not the East's fault that the new play-in rule includes. It's not supposed to have 10 teams competing for the playoffs. That's why there's only 8 spots.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. These games are entertaining and some of them are good, but then you get a situation like this.
I think it's good for the league.
Yeah, it makes it other fan bases think they have a shot. Because, what if Atlanta pulls off the upset of Chicago and then they go beat Miami? Now you have a – that's that could happen. But.
And I think also, as opposed to previous years, didn't it always feel like for a long time the NBA was chalk? The 8 was never beating the 1. The 2 was never beating the 7. All right, a 4-5, a 3-6, maybe there'd be an upset. But for the most part, wake me up when we get to the second or even
the NBA first round is notorious for being a letdown.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this year, it's a little bit different. Knicks won 50 games, and Knicks were good this year. But
there's a lot of parity this year. I mean, you got your 2 top heavy teams with Denver in the West and Boston in the East, and then a lot of teams that could beat a lot of teams in between. Like the Pelicans could get bounced tonight or tomorrow night. Is that tonight? Tomorrow night.
I don't even know. Yeah, I think it's Friday night.
The Pelicans are a good team.
The Knicks are underdogs in the series as the 2 seed. The Bucks without Giannis could easily lose. The Cavs, does anybody believe the Cavs couldn't lose in the first round of the playoffs? The Magic, the Pacers. The East is wide open outside of Boston.
Yeah.
Boston is far and clear beyond the best team in basketball, but also certainly the East.
Yeah, 100% agree. But they're also like ones to choke too at points. They can do it as well. Their coaching isn't that great.
Well, there you go. Well, hold on. So what's the problem with the math here? The Sixers were 11 games over 500.
I always thought over 500 was if you're 41, like 41 and 41 is 500.
No, so if you're 11 and 10, you're 1 game over 500.
No, I agree at that point. So
Well,
when you get to the end,
that's what it is. I get what you're saying with your
yeah,
if you're let's say you play let's say you play 100 games. If you're 52 and 48, you're saying you're 2 games over 500
yeah.
at that point.
Because if you lost 2, you'd be 500.
Right, I know.
That's the way I look at it. I
But
don't
this
know.
guy's
Whatever.
saying
We all
John
agree.
Math. They're not 11 games over 500. If you're going by that, it's 12 games over 500. I don't know. Is this Delco math? I'm not from Delco.
I don't know. Whatever.
All right. Well, listen. The last time
They finished with a positive record. All right, we good.
All right. My official prediction is the Knicks in 7. But sorry.
Yeah, if it gets to game 7, they lose.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So OG he's in the waiting area. Delco Steve. He's going to join us coming in a second. So let's explain what's happened here today. OG Wade had a quarterback. He has his annual quarterback list.
Yeah, we started reviewing it on Tuesday.
We did, and it drew rave reviews from many of the people out there. We'll get to that in a second. But also the big news of the Eagles today, and I love when this kind of stuff happens. And I will get a ton of people that are like, oh, come on, man. Shut up. It doesn't matter. It's Instagram. It's social media. So AJ Brown, he changed his profile picture to Tom Brady. And he also started following Jacoby Brissett, who is likely going to be the starter in New England unless they start a rookie. But so he signed with New England. So he could be the starter. And he also started following another Patriot. This is according to somebody out there. I didn't double check it myself. I don't know if you've followed him before or not. He did change his profile picture to Tom Brady. He explained it by saying that he was watching that docuseries, The Franchise, and Tom Brady has always been his favorite player. So that's why he changed the profile picture to Tom Brady. So 2 things here before we get into that. So for everybody out there that's going to try to tell me or tweet me or Instagram me or email me and say that how ridiculous it sounds, let me explain how athletes, modern day current athletes that are in their 20s and their 30s, what they do. You know how they speak? They speak through their social media. So when Russell Wilson was going to be traded from Seattle, none of this was public. He had voiced displeasure, but you hadn't heard anything about it since the previous season. You know what he did? He unfollowed the team. You know what he did? He followed other teams. He unfollowed other things, right? This happens all the time. Player gets mad at organization or player gets mad at whatever. He uses his social media to let people know how he's feeling. This has happened. If you just Google it, this happens all the time. Yes, AJ Brown, not long ago, scrubbed his Instagram of any Eagle stuff. Do you remember that?
Yep.
A couple months
ago. He did
the
same thing with the Titans, too.
At the end of the year. And he did the same thing with the Titans. The same exact thing. So maybe this is nothing. Maybe he just did this because he loves Tom Brady, as his explanation was. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. But here's what he could have done at any point, AJ Brown. His former best friend or his best friend, the starting quarterback of the Eagles, you know what he could have done when he was getting criticized or there was a lot of talk about them not getting along? He could have posted a picture of Jalen Hurts as his profile picture. But instead, he does it with Tom Brady because Tom Brady's always been his favorite. What about your best friend? What about your best friend that we heard about?
You know, one of the most hated quarterbacks of your fan base as well.
Right. Say, and that's what you say, Vince. It's nothing. It's always nothing until the guys get traded. Anytime players unfollow and do shit like this, it's for a reason.
It's like plausible deniability. It's like, oh yeah, like I don't like them, but like but it doesn't mean nothing. It's fine, like whatever.
Well, let's see what OG Wade has to say about this. As he
has AJ Brown on a bus out of here already.
OG, what's up, brother?
What's up, fellas? How we doing today?
How are you? Wade, actually, that's how I found out about it. I texted you it afterwards, but Wade must have some type of an AJ Brown meter on his phone.
Oh, he's got a PI on the dude, probably.
Minutes after it happened, OG Wade was on the horn with me.
No, here's how I got wind of it. I had someone on Twitter send it to me.
Uh-oh.
See, people already know that I got my investigation antennas up, and I got my whole bureau of investigators out there right now. And Jack Fritz is one of them. So that's one of my investigators. So, but I could tell you this here is a crock of shit.
And I'm sure Jack, I've taught him well. I'm sure Jack knows that there's something going on here.
Yeah, I could tell you this
as we
here.
Believe.
AJ is lying out of his teeth about Tom Brady being his favorite player, because when we got Julio Jones, he said that was his favorite. That was his idol.
He wore number 11 for Julio. He said that when Julio went to the Titans.
So I'm not buying that bull crap he's putting out there. What I noticed that AJ Brown suffers from identity crisis. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at all of his things, his antics, he's already been promised by the Eagles, we will accommodate your trade requests, but we ask that you don't make a complete ass out of yourself and dilute the value that we could get for you. He's going to be traded on draft night. Same way he was traded to us on draft night, and I called that one too. I was the only one that said it, but I don't get no credit. Y'all want to give it to these little mediocre ass sports guys, Howard Eskins, pencil up his ass and all that other stuff. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, draft night, AJ Brown will be traded to the New England Patriots. Now,
what do we get?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. So like Devontae gets the contract. And you're right, OG Wade. AJ has been on his best behavior after the season ended. You haven't heard much from AJ, right?
Right.
And he went on that media campaign where he called Ike and Jack, and he was mad. And he did nothing for me to believe that him and Jalen's relationship is fine. He didn't. He could have very easily come out and said, Jalen and I were fine. All this stuff that's in the media right now, none of it's true. Listen, we lost a lot of games. No one likes losing. He could have very easily tried to explain it, but he wanted no parts of doing that. None at all. And the fact that we are here right now, Devontae just gets a brand new contract. So he's locked up long term. Now they have a couple of draft picks, OG Wade. And you have to ask yourself, is this team willing to pay two wide receivers $25+ million a year? And the fact that Devontae just got the contract, you don't think AJ Brown wants new money and new guaranteed money after what he's done in Philadelphia? I would not be surprised if he was traded.
I could tell you this here. Devontae's contract won't kick in until after next year. But I can tell you this here, that once CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson gets their money, AJ's going to want an extension, and he's going to hold out. He's already gearing up for it. This is why he don't have the Eagles on nothing. When you see him working out, he don't got no Eagle apparel on. He had a chance to even because the world knew AJ and Jalen had issues during the season. So the one thing he could have done to shut everybody up and to say that, hey, is to go to the Pro Bowl with Jalen and enjoy yourselves. He opts out of the Pro Bowl because Jalen was entered into it. Remember, Jalen wasn't a starter. He was an alternate. AJ was the starter. So once Jalen got his alteration, he opted out. That meant he didn't want to be around Jalen. I'm just telling you, all you have to do is read it. He's retarded any damn way. So it's not a whole lot. He's not giving you a whole lot of, smoke and mirrors. He's letting you know straight out because he don't know how to keep his mouth shut. You see what I'm saying?
It would make a lot of sense if they told AJ and his agent, like, hey, listen, we agree it's time to find you somewhere else, but you can't take our leverage from us and let everybody know that you're pissed off and you want to be traded. So let us work it and let us get value. The Patriots make a lot of sense, and they don't have a wide receiver. They really don't. And here's the other thing that they have: a ton of cap space. They have money. They don't have anybody to spend it on. They tried to get Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley went to Tennessee. He don't want to go to New England. So AJ looks at it and it says they're going to be $30 million a year. They're going to draft a young quarterback. Does he want to win a Super Bowl? I think all else being equal, any player would want to win a Super Bowl. But I'm just worried that something happened with Jalen and AJ last year, and you're at a point at no return. I'm telling you, they still didn't clean it up at the end of the year. Nothing was said or done to make me believe that there wasn't an issue last year, OG Wade.
And it wasn't just Jalen. He also had issues with Nick Sirianni. Both of them are still here. He was found guilty for intimidating or what they call bullying Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson is no longer here. So AJ don't have his little track record is not so shiny. All the fans, all y'all punks care about, oh, he got 1,900 yards receiver. How will we ever replace him? You ain't win shit with him. So what the hell difference does you was that bad that you couldn't win with him? So what the hell does it matter if you get rid of him? All you got to do is bring in another receiver that can just, that's a good receiver. You don't need someone like a AJ Brown, to be successful. It's not like any of these idiots was in the goddamn playoffs anyway last year. CeeDee Lamb was out first week. Justin Jefferson never made it. Tyreek Hill was out first week. AJ Brown out first. So none of the top 5 wide receivers was in the playoffs. So what are you guys talking about? You can't win without him. Yes, you can. And it's time to move on. My point is here. Get it while you have value. Because once he blow this ship up this year, ain't no team going to want to trade you or give you anything for him because they're going to know that you got to get rid of him.
Yeah. Delco C, do you think this is real? Would you be surprised if AJ Brown is traded draft night? Draft weekend?
I hate to say that OG's kind of convinced me a little bit here. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded on draft night. What are we getting for him from the Patriots, OG?
The second round. Their second round. They got a 34. I think they got the 34th pick in the second round.
For some reason, I got delusions of Marvin Harrison Jr. Us getting number 3 from them in an AJ Brown kind of thing. No. Obviously, we're giving up more.
He needs new money. He needs a new contract.
Right.
So
that's
he's
the reason why you
trade.
can't get. The reason why you can't get that third overall is because they then have to pay him. So no one's going to give you. Now, if Howie did a sign and trade deal, then you could probably get their 3. But that's what I'm saying.
If you traded your first and a second and jumped up, dude, that would be all. Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
Or Neighbors.
Yeah, but then they have AJ Brown, and then they're not picking all the way down to the 20.
Yeah, no, they would never. The Patriots would never do it. Period.
Right.
But
all right,
I'm just saying, that'd be so cool.
I mean, the draft is loaded with wide receiver talent, so I'm not. 100%. It's not devoid.
So agreed, and that's why again it makes sense because they have that extra second round draft pick. If they could get another second round draft pick, and they say, listen, because that's what I've wondered, and I've said, Wade, I've said this for months now when talking about Devontae or the Eagles. I know anybody can pay 2 wide receivers $25 million+ a year, but is that something the Eagles are going to do? Right? Does it make economic sense to pay 2 wide receivers $25 million a year? And it just feels like that AJ's not getting another contract with the Eagles. I don't know, but that's how I've been feeling.
All you have to do is ask yourself one question. Has it not only has it not ever happened, but has it ever worked? Like, for what reason would you have 2 wide receivers making $25 million? You don't win with one of these motherfuckers. So it's not like
it's different nowadays, though. The way the teams are built now is different. That's how you end up with it. That's why it hasn't happened. Eventually, it's going to happen where these guys are getting paid so much money that they're going to take up a portion of the salary cap.
It's probably going to happen in Miami, or it could happen in Miami. It could happen here. I just think, honestly, there's too much circumstantial evidence. The fact that he scrubbed everything from the Eagles off of his Instagram, why would you do that if you're happy?
I can't stand when this generation of players does that. I just can't stand
what they do.
I know. I understand that it's a thing, and it's definitely something to track and follow, but it's just like, oh my God, it's so pathetic to me.
They got these damn podcasters now, so they feel like they're liberated. They feel like their word, like they really matter. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that they're just pawns. You know what I'm saying? And these guys don't know how to compartmentalize what they actually, their value. You know what I'm saying? Like, the players actually think their value to a team is more than really what it is. And I've always go and look at the results. Have I ever won with a top 5 wide receiver? And I could tell you 2 out of 10 times that only happened. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So why would I go?
But you don't. I don't think you don't need 2 top receivers to win.
No.
I don't think you need a top 5 quarterback to win either. You need a legit franchise quarterback. I don't think you need a top 5 quarterback. It's nice to have them, but it's difficult to be paying free agent dollars for both. It's one thing if you're even a first round draft pick, if he's in year 3 making $7-8 million, and then you're paying somebody $20-25 million, all right. But to pay 2 wide receivers $50 million, a lot of money, man.
Yeah. If you look at the successful teams right now in terms of offensive output, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, you have the Detroit Lions, and you have the Green Bay Packers. They don't have those type wide receivers, but yet their offenses are outputting. You know what I'm saying? If you look at all the teams that have these big time wide receivers, they're not winning anything. They're not winning. Miami ain't even come close to winning. Didn't even come close.
And they got to re-sign Tua at some point soon. And by the way, that Philly Sports Pride said they're not re-signing AJ with 2 years left. After this season, it's really the end of the contract. His cap hit after this year. I'm not trying to get too far in the woods here, but he's going to make upwards of $27 million. So he would cost you $27 million to bring back. And when they construct these contracts, really this was a 3-year extension, and the back end, the cap hits are so significant. That's where they do a new contract. They give him new money, or they get rid of him. And the pivot points after the 2024 season. And he's going to want, I don't know how much guaranteed money he has left in those seasons, but that's when a player wants a new contract, the player wants a new contract. When a player has outperformed his old contract, a player wants new money. And I think if I was AJ, that's the way I'd want. That's where I'd be.
Especially right now after the season he just had. So this is the time for AJ to get the most money as he can get. He's not, if he waits after this year, he's nowhere near going to be coming to close to them numbers again. This was the year for him to get this money. And I'm telling you, he's going to hold out. I think he might hold out a training camp this year. I don't think he'll show up.
Yeah. I mean, the problem.
Well, he's going to be gone next week.
The problem is holding out. You get fined. You can't hold out. It's not like Emmitt Smith with the Cowboys when he held out and finally Jerry Jones is like, okay, well, here, we'll give you a new contract. But he can make things uncomfortable. That's for sure. We've seen players do that before. They hold in rather than hold out.
CeeDee Lamb didn't show up, right?
Well, voluntary stuff. Yeah, no, like the voluntary camps.
Yeah.
Yeah, the voluntary camps, I wouldn't show up either if I wanted a new contract. And CeeDee Lamb's playing on the final year of his contract. I'd be mad as hell too if I didn't have a new contract from the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. But so I'm trying to find your quarterback list here, OG Wade. All right, here it is. So I want to share it on the screen with the good people out there. All right, so OG Wade's 2024 NFL quarterback rankings. Delco, Steve, and I were discussing it our last show. And we were trying to figure out what your exact criteria was for doing it. So tell us what your criteria is when you're concocting the list. How do you arrive at this?
When you're dealing with someone as great as I am, you don't really, the criteria kind of stuff, that's for y'all pencil hits. You know what I'm saying? I don't deal with that kind of, my thing is.
So there's no criteria.
No, the one thing that I look for, number one, is I look for the quarterback to have been through adversity. Then I look for consistency. I look for offensive line. I look for how many years have they been in the offense that they're going in or currently in.
So hold on, Wade. Is this the success you expect them to have this year? Or are you saying this guy is the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL? This guy is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. Does it have to do with the past? Is it just current? That's really what people want to know.
It is very fluent, but it's a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's their past, obviously, because it's their body of work. But then it's also what am I projecting them to be this coming year? That's the capper right there. So with Jalen Hurts, granted that AJ Brown is still on the team, okay, I believe our offense is going to be a high-power offense. It's probably going to be the number 1 offense in the NFL.
All right. Well, Wade, looking at your 2024 NFL quarterback rankings, Hurts number 1.
Absolutely.
Pat Mahomes, too. You have been very high on Jared Goff, and a lot of people said you were high when you picked Jared Goff, as high as you did. But he had an unbelievable year last year. 3 is a little bit absurd, but I give you credit because you've been in on Goff and you've been right. He's played very, very well.
Remember what I did with Goff last year, right? I had him where I had him. I had him ahead of Patrick Mahomes. I said that he will have a better year than Patrick Mahomes. Now, minus the damn Super Bowl, that was won by the defense. Jared Goff had a better year than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had his worst year that he's ever had since he's been a quarterback. You see what I'm saying? So he had 14 interceptions. Like everybody, Jalen turned the ball over to my. Well, Patrick Mahomes had 14. Jalen Hurts had 15, which 7 of them wasn't even his fault. That's another story for another day. Okay. Now, also Patrick Mahomes, his offense scored 30 points only 4 times this year. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't do well, but their defense was so good
that true.
It won them the Super Bowl. If you look at the way the Eagles are, Jalen Hurts as a top 5 or top 10 quarterback is the only top 5 or top 10 quarterback that had a 30th ranked defense. All the rest of these guys that y'all putting over him, name me one of them that had a 30th ranked defense. You can't, because all of them had good defenses. And that's what make them quarterbacks appear or look better than they really are. So I went and did some research on the PFF, on that Pro Football Focus bull crap. You know what I'm saying? And that was only created to make quarterbacks who is not good look good and make it seem like they matter, which none of them punks matter.
All right, so you got Goff, Burrow, Russell Wilson at 5 was the first one that you're a little silly with Goff at 3, and we know that it's your shtick to have Jalen Hurts at 1, but Russell Wilson at 5 is the first silly one that I have to announce there. OG.
All right, here's why I got Russell Wilson at where I got him at, right? And it's because he's going into Pittsburgh, who's got a good running game. All they need is a quarterback that can actually throw the ball and take care of the football. And I think, and with that defense that they got backing him up, I think Russell Wilson will reign as a number 5 quarterback in the NFL. He will have a solid season. He would take Pittsburgh. He would actually be the best team in their division over Lamar Jackson, because I think Lamar Jackson is a fucking stiff. I think he's a fraud, and I don't believe in it. Okay, and all you can say all the hell you want, but when the game is on the line, Lamar Jackson, he shits his pants. Okay, can't throw the ball. He can't throw outside the numbers. He's a seam route thrower, and he threw right into a seam route right into triple coverage. Ain't no damn way in the world I'm putting Lamar Jackson as no MVP or as no goddamn top 5 quarterback in this league. No way. No.
All right. Aaron Rodgers 6, Lamar Jackson 7. CJ Stroud. Delco, Steve, and I were discussing this. CJ Stroud, maybe a little bit, even just after the 1 year, the rookie year, he's been so good. And then they add real talent in the offseason. I mean, is CJ Stroud only 8 because he's only done it for 1 year? How do you get him at the bottom half of the? I mean, it's still ahead of Josh Allen, but still, it seems.
I got him at 8 because yes, he had numbers wise a good year, but if you look at the defenses that he played against, they weren't all of that. So he didn't have to do no struggle. But when he went up against Baltimore, he pissed his pants as well. You see what I'm saying? So that's where, you got to be able to compartmentalize these guys and look at and understand what you're looking at. Yes, he has talent, but the league did not prepare for him. So now that they got the book on him, I don't see him being any better than he was this year. And as a matter of fact, he won't be as good as he was this year, next year.
That's interesting. Josh Allen 9. I mean,
no weapons. What the fuck is he? He don't have no weapons. Who is he throwing to?
Not right now. Yeah, the wide receiver depth's terrible. Yep.
Even if you bring Johnny Moore, even if you bring him weapons later on, they still have to learn one another. So no, Josh Allen is not that great of a quarterback for you to say, just plug anybody in there with him. He's also a seam route thrower. He also struggles to throw the ball out the numbers. That's why Diggs didn't even want to play with him, because he can't get him the ball.
All right, so just like scrolling down this list, you have Cousins at 10. Jordan, I love Jordan Love. Love Jordan Love. We'll see where he goes this year. Baker Mayfield ahead of Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, And I'll even say Tua Tagovailoa. Explain that one there, OG Wade.
Let's talk about with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, for all intents and purposes, they've won 36 games in the last 3 years. You cannot give me 5 teams that he beat that was good teams in 3 freaking years. All I'm asking the Cowboys shit-ass fans, give me 5. And for ESPN, Dak Prescott, he was an all-pro. Anybody would be an all-pro if you playing the worst damn teams in the league. They beat, I think, 2 teams with a winning record this year, and one of them was us with our 30th ranked freaking defense, and the other one was the Detroit Lions, who they actually robbed for that goddamn victory. No, Dak Prescott is trash, okay? And that's not because I'm a Cowboy hater, because I don't hate the Cowboys. I just don't like the motherfuckers. And Dak Prescott, he stinks. His damn owner don't even want to give him a contract because he don't believe in him.
But I mean, really, it's more about Baker than Dak Prescott. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Dak Prescott's
Baker's going to stay where he's at. He's better than Dak Prescott because he actually can play against good defenses and flourish. I don't see Dak doing that. Baker don't, he's just a solid quarterback.
All right, Justin Herbert at 17. Many people they're giggling and laughing at you putting him at 17. Delco Steve the other night took exception. He might be the biggest Herbert fan that I know. So how do you put him at 17?
Because he's been shitting his pants since he's been in the league.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yes,
he literally puts the teams in the position to win the games, and then the defense shits their pants, or the coach shits their pants, and then they lose.
Then you know
and
what
how's that Herbert's fault?
Hold on, slow your roll, Stevie. You know what that means? He's got to come out and do what Jalen Hurts did 6 times to set an NFL record of the first quarterback to ever come back 10 down at halftime and win the goddamn game. When is Justin Herbert going to get over the freaking hump and stop all this old arm talent shit? I'm so tired of hearing that bullshit. It's crazy. It's driving me crazy. Okay, if you got the arm talent, why can't your arm talent get you in the game and help your poor defense out? Like Jalen Hurts did 6 times this year. He beat teams with a winning record. No one wants to look at that. Jalen Hurts played 80% of his games in the freaking rain with a bum knee and still won 11 games. Still beat Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tua, Dak Prescott, all these bums. And everybody want to say Jalen's regress? Nah, bro, you don't regress. Actually, he had a better year than he did the year we went to the Super Bowl because we had a first place schedule this year, and he beat tougher teams this year than we did the year we went to the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert is so freaking overrated. He's never been through any adversity. I don't even think he broke a freaking fingernail in his life. First time he had his little finger
with a broken rib 2 years ago.
Yeah, listen, that's
he
his
broke
own.
Rib week 1 against the Chiefs and played the whole season with it.
Right, and what did he do? Shit,
But wait, here's where I agree with you.
And do it.
And like Herbert, it's the criteria. Like, who would you want if you were drafting a quarterback right now for your team? I think Herbert would be very, very high on almost any NFL GM's list. But as far as what he's done so far, he's on the clock. He's gotten a free pass from the national media for for example, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence to me is on fraud watch. And It feels like there's going to be a lot of people in the media this year. They're going to be really keeping an eye on him because he's a fraud. Herbert, and I think Herbert's better than Lawrence, but still, like when you're talked about as being this great young quarterback and you're the next one, your talent and your stats and your yards and your touchdowns and how good you look on the field and everything else only gets you so far. And I'm at a point right now where you're going to start winning. And not just winning regular season games. And now you actually have a head coach, an offensive head coach.
Yeah, that's
what the hell he's doing.
If this thing's continue with John Harbaugh as the head coach, or Jim whatever Harbaugh it is, I don't even know. Whatever. Jim Harbaugh. If these things continue with Jim Harbaugh, then yes, you are 100% accurate. I don't think it's going to continue with Jim Harbaugh. He's had moron coaching his entire NFL career. Anthony Lynn was terrible, and Brandon Staley was somehow even worse.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible, yeah.
The Chargers have been the same team for the last 5 years of Phillip Rivers and now the first few years of Justin Herbert. If they still play that same way, then I will put it on Herbert at that point. But I think with smart coaching, with good people around him, he's gonna flourish. You're gonna see that talent.
I listened to your show the other day, and you was talking about this, and the thing I get tired of hearing is, if you take Justin Herbert and you put him on the Eagles, well, no, fuck that. That's not how that go, bro. You're on the Chargers. Jalen Hurts is on the Eagles.
Right, but that's what
goes into what we talked before. The Chargers have been a clown organization
Here's where your butt goes out the window. A.J. Brown wouldn't be in Philadelphia if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts. That's a fact. Jalen Hurts called Howie up and asked him to see if he can bring A.J. over.
And A.J. may not be on the Eagles anymore because of Jalen Hurts as well.
Right, because he obviously, yeah, for whatever reason. He's a fucking lunatic. I don't know. Yeah, he's thrown the hell off. So
all right. And anything else on this list there, Delco Steve, or have we pretty much hit all of it?
And the Trevor Lawrence thing, I could tell you this here. Him and Daniel Jones have the same damn career. Same numbers, same everything. Everything.
Man, Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, but Trevor Lawrence is gonna be a loser.
Show me the
arm talent. I think he's just saying like arm talent potential.
Yeah, he's a better quarterback. He's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. He's just a flat out better quarterback. But wait, he comes up in the big spots. He comes up small. Look at the Jags. They were rolling to the playoffs last year. I think they lost his last 5 starts. He got injured. They were winning games.
Let me ask you this question. Who has a better roster, the Jaguars or the Giants?
Jaguars.
Okay, how the hell is their numbers the same? Their careers? How?
Who would you take right now? Well, you would not take Daniel Jones over.
He's got Daniel Jones ahead on the list.
No, but you would not do it. That's what I'm calling bullshit on your list. You're not taking Daniel Jones over Trevor Lawrence.
I didn't say I would take him. I just said
he doesn't want either one of them. What are you talking about?
All I'm saying to you is that if you look at both of them together, their careers so far, they're the same. And there should not be. His career should be better than Daniel Jones at least. It's not.
Daniel Jones hasn't thrown the legit receiver in about 8 years.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's
you know what I mean?
Like, that's true.
No, I can't do that. Trevor Lawrence is a fraud. Now it's not over. Even with Justin Herbert, these guys just have to go through some adversity. But as long as the people like the talking heads keep on touting them and putting them up, he's a generational talent. That's what I heard about.
Yeah,
Trevor.
He's not. What
I'm saying? But people keep on putting them on these freaking lists, and that's what makes these players think they don't have to go and work hard because everything is given to them. No one's giving them, but Jalen Hurts, y'all want to put behind all these freaking stiffs. You know what I'm saying? And this is the one guy that goes out there, new offense, in the rain, every damn game we played damn near, beating all the good teams. How many good defenses we played this year? Jalen Hurts had to go through all of that shit. All of that. And still had a successful season. Still. Not the one we wanted. We would have liked. But it was better than this.
I think Jalen played well for this year, but minus the last few games down the stretch. I think I will say that I think it was an injury for him. This wasn't a trash at Jalen Hurts. I'm a Jalen Hurts supporter. I'm not to your level, that's for sure. I just think if you had someone I'm going to go to the talent of Justin Herbert in a stable organization like the Eagles, things would be very positive.
Yeah.
That was all I was trying to get at.
Because I got an aunt that got two sets of balls too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out if she's my uncle or not. All
right. Well, that is OG Wade. Follow him on Twitter at OG Wade 241. Knowledge without college. And did something happen with you and Chuck? People were putting in the chat asking him about Chuck. So I didn't hear.
Chuck's a fucking peon. You know what I mean? I don't listen. I'm on another level. I keep telling these dudes, I'm not your typical. You know what I'm saying? These guys come up here with clown faces on and shit. I know the game. You know what I'm saying? And I don't take no shit. I don't care what nobody say. I know what I'm looking at. And most of these guys that's looking at this game, smoking your little flowers and shit, drinking bourbon and all your beers and shit. And that's what takes you away from the focus of the game. I know this football game. That's what I know for certain. So don't tell me, you can't tell me shit about this game.
OG Wade's not drinking, so you don't got to worry about that.
Yeah, I'm the best in the business.
Are you doing anything live for the draft next Thursday? Are you going to go on Twitter and do a live show or anything like that? I don't even know if we're gonna do a live show next week during the draft, Delco Steve. I don't even know.
I'm game.
All right, that sounds good. Well, maybe we'll have OG Wade on for some analysis. I know that the chat would be very happy to have you back. You've been very popular tonight.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I might learn these punks something. You know what I'm saying?
All right, you got it. All right, Wade. Good to talk to you, buddy.
All right, see ya.
All right, there he is, OG Wade. Yeah, actually, I don't know what happened with him and Chuck, but I got a text from Chuck from Mount Airy at 4:00 hour, and he was like, "Oh, what's up?" And he's like, "You screwed everything up. We had a great thing going, and you screwed it up." And I was so for people
like he's the co-host.
So everybody that's probably watching right now, so Spike is now full-time. He's fulfilled his obligations up in New York. So the afternoon show has officially started. Spike, Ike, and Jack. And Spike came out with I thought was a pretty funny list of new rules for callers. And they posted it on social media.
Oh, really?
I think it was funny. So like I've had a couple people reach out to me, not ripping Spike. So think about it. It was Jack and Ike for the most part since I left. My last day was December 20th. So I've been done almost 4 months. So it's still been Ike and Jack. And then Spike has been there a couple times, like once a week or whatever. But for the most part, it's been those two, which is really an extension of the Marks and Reese show, right? Like Jack was the third mic. Ike was there. So it's pretty much the same dynamic of the show, the same features. They were even using my text line open still, which they're probably still not doing. But so it was obviously different because I wasn't there, but it's still the same dynamic of the show.
Yeah.
Now Spike comes on and it changes everything.
He's the lead.
He's the lead. It changes everything. He's got a different way of doing things. He's being funny with how he's going to handle the callers, especially from the beginning. So I had numerous people reach out to me and be like mad at me. Like this one guy on YouTube. I don't even know which YouTube it was. It might have even been one of my Bet Park shows. Was like calling me a loser for ditching Ike and like you're ditching Ike to work with these losers and blah 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 blah. And it's like hang on a second, all right? Like I'm not ditching Ike. Like how many times have I been over this? Right? Like it's just like for a lot of different reasons, none of which is Ike or the show. I realized we had a great show. It's bittersweet to leave it. People reaching out to me being like, yeah, today, like I finally realized like you ain't coming back and now the show's going to be different. And what I said to them is what I say to everybody, that I think you have to get used to the show, right? Even though Spike's been on and, he's been on for a day or whatever here and there, the everyday dynamic of 4 hours a day, 20 hours a week, week after week after week after week, it may be an adjustment period for some people, but I believe the show is going to be really, really good, and it will continue to be the best show in the city. So I think we had the best show in the city, the Marks and Reese show, and I think that's going to continue. So people are going to make up their own minds, but for anybody that's like, oh, I don't know if I like Spike, is just give them time. Maybe it'll take some time to get used to it, but I think the show is going to be really, really good. And honestly, I had run out of energy with everything, so I think getting a new infusion of energy in there is really going to help them.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen at a snapping of a finger either. It's like where they jive and click together as as a unit of three. They'll get going. It always works out.
Yep. Yeah, it does. It might take some time or whatever, but I mean, what I've heard when they're on it, I think it's good. And it's just Spike. It's a different personality, different dynamic. It changes everything with the show. I get it.
And I will say you and Spike have a very distinct, different personalities for anything, everything.
Yeah, we do.
It's obviously going to be a completely different show.
Yeah, it's going to be completely different. But here's what I know about Spike. Is that he is a brilliant radio guy. Brilliant. And some of the big ideas WIP's had over the years came from Spike. And it's just not the ideas, it's the execution. So if you're looking for bigger things and maybe even bigger guests or bigger events to happen during the show, it's going to be because Spike is now steering the ship. So might be a little bit different, especially at first, but it's going to be a really good show. What did I just want to play here before? Oh, so yeah, Steve injured his eyes at work there, Jerry. So that's why he's wearing the sunglasses. Which eye hospital did you go to earlier?
I was at I ended up down at Will's Eye on Walnut.
On Walnut, really? I used to work right there.
Yep.
Before Will's was built, but
got to go hit my cheesesteak place that I used to go to when we were at WIP. So that was one positive out of the whole place, of the whole ordeal today.
Got a cheesesteak.
Mrs. Delco Steve drove me down. She was very nice about it.
What do you get on your cheesesteak?
I do whiz and American.
Whiz and American?
Yeah.
Fried onions cheese. Or no?
No onions.
No onions, huh? Was it real whiz? Because some of the hack places use the fake whiz and it ruins the sandwich.
Yeah, no, they're Sonny's
so you're
on market.
Yeah, Sonny has the real one. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're looking for cheesesteak rings, that's my number one by a mile, easily my favorite.
Yeah.
And so whenever I get a chance down there to get it, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
They do a bacon cheesesteak too. Oof, that's good too.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't done up one of the. I used to like the buffalo chicken cheesesteak, which I don't like the buffalo cheesesteak. I like buffalo chicken cheesesteaks for whatever reason, or a barbecue cheesesteak, barbecue chicken cheesesteak with American cheese and fried onions.
Yeah, their chicken cheesesteaks are good too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I used to.
There's not anything bad down there. Let's put it like that.
My first year that I worked at WIP, from February until when I took over for Chris, so I guess it was November. So during Philly season, I did the pregame, and then I would do the postgame. So I was in. And
a couple hours to kill.
these were back in the day when there wasn't 2.5-hour games. There was 4-hour games.
Yep.
And the Phillies were bad. This was Pete McCannon. So this was prior to Bryce Harper getting signed, and they were bad. I was down at Sonny's probably 2 or 3 times a week buying cheesesteaks at like 8:00.
Is that when you took the picture on the beach, or that summer you took the picture on the beach where you're looking a little thick?
Probably, yes. Probably. No, that was a couple years later. By the way, I put on 10 pounds since Easter. No,
stop eating all the kids' candy.
I stopped.
Stop going through the kids' Easter baskets. I know they got 30 of them, but come on, they're for the kids.
I know. I was out of control. I can admit it. Totally out of control. But I did. I put on 10 pounds. I was 172 pounds. I got down to 162 when I was the height of working out. And you know what else I did? I don't even know if it's a calf, a hamstring, or right behind the knee, mowing the lawn last week.
Oh, you got a little extension going on?
The day after, I'm like limping around, like, what the hell did I do? And so now I'm about 75%, but still, there's no, like, I don't know, man. I need to get back to class. I need to get back to the Y for the body pump class, but I can't do squats. I was trying to do body weight squats today to test it. Oh, I'm out, man. I can't do them. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're on the 15-day DL.
I am. Well, I'm hoping by next week, because I do feel a lot better. It's just, it stiffens up. I'm where I sit right now in this bar stool. When I get down from it, it tightens up. I also have a riding mower that's arriving at my house tomorrow.
There we go.
Yes.
Pulled the trigger on a new one.
Got the 0-turn, a Toro riding mower, because I could get it delivered by today, and it had good reviews. So I have now financed more, 0% financing. So I'm even more money in debt, and I am totally fucked with how much money in debt I am right now. So I'm going to be driving Uber. Like, my wife thinks I'm joking when I say this. I'm going to need to drive Uber a couple days a week to pay down all this debt. I am. So we'll see.
That would be interesting car rides.
The other thing why I kind of want to do it is I think it's really interesting. Larry David, when he was a writer for SNL, or like when he was trying to make it as a comedian or a writer, a lot of guys were like this. They drove cabs in New York City, and just the stories and the perspectives that you might have from that is really interesting. And every time I get into an Uber, I don't necessarily always want to talk to the Uber driver, but I think it's interesting because you could be getting somebody from any walk of life.
Yep.
in, like you don't even know the car that you're getting, if they speak, whatever. And it would just be like, I'm not telling you that I want to be driving people to JFK Airport. I want to be down in the city driving around Center City. I have no interest in doing that. But I know a couple of people that have up by me that more or less on like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, they'll just go from Phoenixville in the borough and then drive people to and from the borough. So you go at like 8 o'clock, you're driving people in. Midnight, you're driving people home. There's a huge surge. They make a couple $100 doing it on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays each night.
Yeah, you got to take care of all the drunks like me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you throw up in the back of my car.
Never done that. No. Falling asleep, never thrown up.
Is that why? Yeah, John Runyon drove an Uber a very short period of time. I remember him doing that. But
do you think what percentage of people do you think would recognize you?
Hopefully not many.
All right, that would be the hope, but for your sake. But how many people do you think would recognize you? 50%?
No, shut up. I'm not. No.
What do you think about it? You're getting a bunch of drunk dudes going out for sports games, watching.
Well,
they probably get a lot of you on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some people, but 50%, you would have to get a legitimate celebrity to get 50%. Plus, I could kind of disguise my appearance if I wanted to, wear a hat, have my name. It's not going to be John.
Wear your shades at night.
Yeah, like you, and I'll do that. So I would say as we wrap it up here in a couple minutes, I'd say the show's only 2 nights now because I'm just I'm not a night person, and like it's tough for me to 9 o'clock to do these freaking shows. I want to be laying up in bed and going to sleep. My kids are up early, and it's just with the park stuff I'm doing on Wednesday nights. I'm coaching softball, my kids softball, so. Rather than be like, hey, we're going to do it every night. And then like me not do it a couple nights a week because the kids are sick. Like last week, everybody in my family was sick and it was just like fucking miserable. So just doing it 2 nights a week now, it gets a chance to do it because we like doing it or whatever. And then we'll figure out what we're doing going forward. But just felt like made the most sense right now to do it a couple days a week. Ride my bike.
100% 2 hours instead of a crappy, 25% effort on.
Right. So if we do, let's just say that going forward, we would do, even if we said like, all right, we're going to do the Delco Steve and John show once a week. It wouldn't be for an hour. It would be different than like doing it 5 days a week. We're kind of doing an everyday show to where we're talking about stuff that happened in sports and whatever. If we had a podcast once a week for 2 hours, then it could be a little bit longer. We get crazier. We wouldn't necessarily have to talk about the everyday sports nonsense. I have other stuff to talk about, which we're not getting to tonight. So we'll see. What was the other thing that I wanted? Something else. We had something else here I wanted to talk about. I don't know. Oh, someone asked about Missanelli. And so we're doing Monday and Thursday nights right now, is what I think we said. So we'll be back on Monday. And then if Steve wants to do Thursday nights, we can do Thursday nights. And leave OG Wade alone. Stop complaining about OG Wade. I thought he was good.
Yeah, I think Monday and Thursday is a good spacing.
All right, good.
Weekend recap and then looking into the weekend.
Yeah.
Especially for any sports going on, really.
Right. Mrs. Delco Steve
and our nonsense.
Mrs. Delco Steve could enjoy the program on Thursday nights. You guys can go out on dates on Friday nights and things like that. So, all right. So someone asked about Mike Miss and anything new on Mike Miss at 97.5. I was actually on the Crossing broadcast today with my buddy Russ, and so he asked me about Mike Miss. So I have acquired some information over the last few weeks, and I had somebody confirm it for me, which is why I'm going to say it now. So it is not, my understanding of it is that they are still talking. I think I said this last week. They're still talking. There doesn't seem to be like no one's coming out and saying we don't want Mike, or Mike's not coming out and saying I'm not going to the Fanatic. No one's like Bob Cooney's solo and he's working with different co-hosts. Bill's on there, Bill C's on there, Colarulo, and they have Amy Fadul who is like co-hosting or doing an hour or two. So they're rotating guys in there. I think they should just give it to Bill every day and let him run with it. But
yeah, I think that'd be a great call.
And he's been great. I've been listening to him a lot, and Bill is awesome. But I think Bill's good with Bob too. I like Bob a lot. I do. So it's my understanding that there's no issue with the agreement. Like they have an agreement, but the problem is the language in the contract. And they just don't. How can I put this to where, like, I've never had it in my contract, any of my radio contracts, that I had to. We have something called a non-compete, which is we can't work in a competitive business for a certain amount of time. Like when I left WIP, I had 3 months where I couldn't work at another radio station in the Philadelphia market, or I couldn't work for an audio focused company or show. So I couldn't do a podcast in Philly. I couldn't do another radio show. I couldn't do things like that if it was audio focused. So my understanding is that they're trying to make it not with that, because that's pretty much standard. They're trying to make it long-term that he would have to not go anywhere, and none of his advertisers could go anywhere with him. A clause in his contract where he would have to more or less not take his advertisers with him. So in other words, like let's say any of my advertisers, Dr. Glatt, Dr. Pastor, Guy to Door and Window, any of these places that could potentially go to a new spot with me, contractually, I wouldn't be able to do it for, let's say, a year and a half, which I've never heard that in a radio contract. I haven't heard that. And I've never even broached to me in any of my contracts. And after what happened with Anthony leaving the Fanatic, they probably are spooked by it. Here's the reality. That's probably the last thing that Beasley should be really worrying about with Mike is him taking advertisers, him leaving and taking advertisers. I'm not telling you that Mike isn't extremely talented. I'm a big Mike Missanelli fan. I always have been. But going digitally for Mike, I don't think makes a whole lot of sense, right? Like he is a terrestrial radio host. He's a host on WIP and the Fanatic, and he ain't going to WIP. So really his option is doing podcasts, which I think he does a good job with, or going to 97.5 the Fanatic. So there isn't, like if I went to the Fanatic and I could see them being like, no, we want protection from you leaving in 3 years and going and taking all your advertisers with us. Like that would make a little bit more sense. Mike's not bringing sponsors with him necessarily. Like with Anthony, he's got, Primos, and he's got all of his sponsors. He has sales relationships.
Yep.
Mike does well with his show and selling his show, but like that's not because of the relationships he has with the clients. That's because he does a great show. So to me, I don't want to say silly, but I just don't think it's necessary to put that language in a contract with Mike, because it's really not going to affect the station.
So you're saying if you were given that kind of contract to Cuz, it would make sense.
It would make more sense for the Cuz, sure, because he like with me, I actually have and like listen, we'll see.
You have the permanent relationships that are going to follow you to wherever you go.
Right. Yes, exactly. And like maybe some go, maybe some don't go. You know what I mean? Like it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
But
if they're doing great where you were and you left,
why wouldn't they?
Yeah. And they're still going to do great without you, then they would stay.
Right. And you know what? Like they probably stay, and then they just also come with me, right? Like Guy to Door and Window, they were an advertiser with Mike for a really long time. When I worked with Mike in 2008, 2009 through 2012, Guida was sponsoring his 5 o'clock hour, and they were on both stations. They did WIP and they did the Fanatic. When I went to WIP, I started doing the reads for Guida. They sponsored the 5 o'clock hour on WIP. And then I started doing their live commercials, right? They pulled their advertising off the Fanatic in 2023, and they doubled down with me on WIP because they weren't getting results on the Fanatic. I think Ricky was endorsing them, and I'm not going to tell you it's Ricky's fault.
No,
but like
it wasn't getting the viewership that you guys were. You guys were the number one show in the city.
They're able to track through leads of where it's being heard and whatever. I don't know what software they have. They're able to track, and they just like they weren't getting the results that they wanted. So they doubled down with us in 2023, right? So like that's and like Mike, if Mike went back to the Fanatic, I think Mike would get companies like Guy to Door and Window that says, "Hey, we want to advertise with Mike." But he doesn't have a personal relationship with the family, with their family.
Yeah.
Like, I know him personally. So
yeah, it's because Mike's going to get ratings, and they want to be where the ratings are at.
Right. Yeah, it's a great show. All right, well, there you go. Well, and the thing with and more to my point, and we'll wrap it up on this, and it's what he's saying. I'd be more concerned about what he's going to tweet out and what he's going to say regarding non-sports issues than I would be than him leaving and taking sponsors with him. So there you go.
Yeah, I was totally expecting you to say that's what it was in the contract. I wasn't expecting it to be that.
But you know what? That's not what I even heard. And potentially that's something that's in there. I mean, it
could. It could be. It might be. Whatever. It's like I thought you were going to say that was the issue, and he was going to be putting his foot down, and he's going to want to say whatever he wants to say.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? You know what you're getting with Mike. You either have to accept it or not. If he's resisting at putting his views out on Twitter, then maybe you shouldn't hire him. Right? If he's not saying, listen, like I will avoid it on the air, but I'm going to do what I want to on Twitter. I mean, I may be okay with that, right? I'm not okay with him doing it on the air. People do not tune in to sports radio for your political views. And I can tell you firsthand that hurt his show. How many people that came over to listen to Marks and Reese show that were Mike Missanelli listeners that were alienated because they didn't share Mike's views in politics? And Mike means well. And believe me, I think that he's actually saying it because he thinks that it's his responsibility to share his views. He's also very passionate about it. When I tune into sports radio, I don't want to hear partisan politics. I don't want to hear
for a second
at all. Not for a second. Not for a second. So, like, if you're voting for Trump or you're not voting for Trump, I don't want to hear about it on sports radio. If I want to hear that, I'll go to 1210 or I'll go to Fox News or CNN or whatever. All right.
I'll be anywhere but there.
Yep. So it really is that I'd be more concerned about that. But if you're going to hire him and it appears that they've made the decision that they want to bring him on, it's everything that comes with it, which is, and I worked with Mike for a long time, so I know what comes with it, but like, it's an election year and he's going to be coming back to the radio. Something tells me he's going to be active on Twitter about the stuff. So either be good with it or don't be good with it. Don't hire him then. Put Colarulo in there full time. He'll do fine. So anyway.
It'll be interesting to see.
Well, Delco Steve, have a good weekend, man.
You too, brother.
Talk to you on Monday. We didn't get to talk a lot about the Phillies. They swept the Rockies. How
Thank
about
God.
that? White Sox are coming to town, so now they go from the Rockies, one of the worst teams in baseball, to the White Sox. So I think they have 2 wins on the season.
Let's go. Good for the White Sox.
Let's go. And have a good weekend. Everybody will be back on Monday. And again, follow, subscribe, like, comment. And you know what? Follow Steve on Instagram and Twitter. Why not? Steve, will you give an update on your eye? Have you taken a picture of your eye and put it out there? Because people are wondering.
I do have a picture, but I didn't put it up on anything. I just did it because I couldn't see at all when I was like, I got to be able to see this later. See what it looks like.
Yeah.
They put the drops in my eyes. I couldn't see crap.
All right. Well, be careful, man. Hope the eye's better.
Appreciate it. We'll be good on Monday.
Everybody have a good weekend. We'll talk to you Monday. See ya.